Well, not a thing going on in this area, just clear skies. So decided to open the webcast with that storm footage. Hopefully that gave you all something different to look at. We've actually got a pretty quiet weather pattern for today. The sole exception is on the East Coast, where we have Tropical Storm Fay. Now the automated analysis is kind of misplacing that a little bit. It's putting emphasis on that low pressure at Morehead City. But doing further analysis, we know that it's right around here. So bear that in mind. In the Great Plains, we've got a very slow-moving cold front. Looks like it's cleared Minneapolis and Duluth, very slowly pushing eastward and being driven by a very weak 1014 millibar high in Montana. There it is right there. Down in the Central Plains, we've got a tail end of that cold front that's extended into the La Junta and Alamosa area with a triple point from southeastern Colorado down the Texas Caprock. And some very warm temperatures down there in New Mexico. 109, I think that might be Artesia, and then 106 at El Paso. So we can pretty much bet that that subtropical ridge is parked right in that area. That's going to be a feature that's in the mid and upper levels. Lots of tropical air extending up into the Midwest from the Gulf Coast region. Checking out those dew points, that's something we always want to look at. You can see 76 there at Palestine, 75 DFW, 71 at Waco, and then that pretty much carries all the way into St. Louis, 71, 70 at Chicago, very muggy there, and yeah, that's the end of the 70s in Michigan. And then on the East Coast, where we've had a bit of a moderating influence from the northerly flow, dew points are a little bit lower. Not quite so much on the coast there, but inland, yeah, there is dry air, so that'll probably act against that circulation and that tropical storm as it approaches the coast. It'll start entraining some of that dry air. And then a quick look up in Canada. They're still getting the hot weather, 86 right up there at Fort Severn, again, 90 at James Bay, 90 at Moosonee, and then lots of mid-80s. So yeah, this is definitely a heat wave for the southern Hudson Bay region. Not sure if we're going to see any relief, but we'll take a look at that on the models. Now let's check out the forecast for that tropical storm. There's the NHC advisory there. I guess they're a little bit happy that they've got something to do now that we're getting into hurricane season. At least, you know, it's a very weak storm. So we're looking at a tropical storm moving inland and then quickly weakening. Now, one thing that I do like to do is look at the discussion. And we'll see what happens when the storm comes inland on Friday evening, tomorrow evening there. So what I like to do is go up to this discussion up at the very top. And you get this very nice write-up of what the forecast is going to do. So it looks like cooler waters are going to be an issue. But most importantly, there's a very convenient table here that gives you a very quick look at what's going to happen. We can see that it's going to increase in intensity just a tiny bit, up to 50-mile-an-hour gusts, and then it should dissipate very quickly as it moves inland. So not very much of it is going to be left by Saturday. Now, if you're very interested in these tropical systems, I strongly recommend checking out tropicalatlantic.com. That's the place to go when there's tropical weather, tropical storms, hurricanes, so on, and you can just click on which one you want to look at. And there's an entry for Tropical Storm Fay, and they've got the products, the paths, and so on. You can put in all the different model projections right there. You can download that into Google Earth and look at graphs of forecast intensity. So definitely some great stuff. Yeah, I'll certainly give that a look, and you definitely want to get familiar with that stuff before we actually have a real hurricane out there. A quick look region by region. Not really much change from yesterday. Still got a lot of high-based convection in the mountains of Colorado, and the monsoon trying to get established there in New Mexico. In fact, I would say it is pretty well established. Next stop, southeast Arizona. That'll be coming up here pretty soon. In Kansas, we can see the effect of outflow. See that right there? That's going to be an outflow pool with the boundary somewhere in Oklahoma, and within the outflow pool we can see gravity waves, and that's due to oscillation of the flowing air within a very stable layer near the ground, and so we get these little ripple effects there. And that's a much different picture than what you see there in Texas, where we have cloud streets indicating an unstable boundary layer. In the Pacific Northwest, looks like it's destabilizing just a little bit, but overall pretty much the same pattern as what we had yesterday. And the Black Hills, a couple good storms going up right in there. We've had some stormy conditions in Iowa. You can see those towers going up right there, putting out a lot of anvil material. Also lots of precipitation from Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, up to Michigan. And then down to the south, we see the approach of Tropical Storm Fay. And it does look like there's quite a bit of dry air in the low levels. Don't see much of a low cloud field associated with that. And then down south, yeah, things look a little bit quieter in the southeastern U.S., but there's the remains of that old MCS that moved southeast from Nebraska overnight into Arkansas, and that's laid down that little boundary right there that we talked about earlier. Any other boundaries? Yeah, there's definitely one right there, and I'm sure there's a few others like right there. See there, we get a little cluster of storms going up along that. And we've got orographics working on the air mass too, so it's basically an unstable, uncapped air mass. All right, looking ahead, let's see what things look like, and we want to look at the situation in terms of moisture and flow. So we have the dew point here. The purple is 70s dew points, the cyan is 60s dew points, and the green is 50s and 40s. So we run this forward. You can see some pretty healthy flow coming up into Oklahoma and southern Kansas and wrapping into the Oklahoma Panhandle. Then as we get later into the period, Saturday and Sunday, looks like the flow kind of diminishes a little bit, but it is holding tight up there in Kansas and Missouri. Looks like another shot of cold air coming down out of the northern plains. Stationary front along the Red River from Monday. Looks like that pretty much runs from about Alabama to about the Dallas area and then up the high plains into the Kit Carson area of Colorado. All right, let's see what happens after that. Looks like maybe the front kind of starts diminishing, starts modifying and dissipating around Monday, going in Tuesday, and lifts north. And then we find it up there in Kansas for Tuesday. You can see the moisture seems to move a little bit eastward, a little bit drier in Texas, probably due to that upper level ridge starting to make its move over the area. Pretty good moisture in the Midwest for midweek. Looks like another, maybe a reinforcing shot of air kind of solidifying that front a little bit in Kansas and southern Missouri. And then it looks a little bit drier in Texas, maybe with that subtropical ridge holding on, but plenty of moisture up in the Corn Belt for next weekend. Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty good. Okay, let's check out other areas of the country. I'm going to kind of look east and west. Okay, starting out, there's Fay heading north, and we can see that pretty much crashes into the Delmarva and New Jersey. Looks like maybe the track is coming a little bit further west. And that lifts up into Quebec, and then it's just kind of dry in the Carolinas. Looks like maybe kind of a weak front right through the Appalachians at the beginning of next week. And for the western U.S., looks dry. You can see the moisture increasing a little bit around Ajo, Arizona. I don't know if that's quite yeah, that's probably enough to get us up into the monsoon range. Looks like 40s and 50s up to Phoenix, and even some 60s. So yeah, I think the monsoon season is going to be ramping up here again pretty soon. Okay, let's check out our astronomy calendar. I want to thank James Flanagan for pointing out Comet Neowise. And we do have a morning comet that's going to be just above and to the left of where the sun usually rises. And let me just bring up a map here. This is what it's going to look like about 30 minutes before sunrise, maybe 15 minutes before sunrise. And there, yeah, you do see the comet up and to the left. Also Venus at its maximum brightness above and to the right. And then down there very close to the horizon, Mercury rising about 45 minutes before sunrise. And that may be obscured by your trees. If not, you might get a little peek of that before the sky starts lightening. Now the comet will be switching over to an evening comet very quickly in about the next 2 or 3 days, and then the best views will be in the evening above and to the right of the setting sun. I don't know if it's going to be very bright, but you know, it is going to be moving away from the sun, but you know, we'll see. Anyway, there's your astronomy wrap-up. The Front Range. What is it and where is it? Well, that's a good question because it's a very important mountain range, especially in the winter. And here we find it just west of the Denver metro area, extending up towards Wyoming and probably as far south as Pikes Peak. So that's going to be the furthest east mountain chain in northern Colorado, and when we go south of that we pick up the Sangre de Cristo Range, which is very similar in that area. And that pretty much divides the plains of Colorado. This is all grassland from the mountainous interior area in western Colorado. So definitely two distinct regimes there, and of course the plains that holds a lot of the deep cold air from Canada. It generally does not go very far west except in very deep outbreaks. And of course we tend to get mountain waves off the Front Range and some of these mountain ranges further west. So the Front Range, definitely keep an eye on. You definitely want to know where that is. Okay, that's all I've got for your Thursday. Hope you found that webcast enlightening as well as educational. Hope you all have a great Thursday evening, and we will see you for Friday's broadcast. And remember, we would like to have you as a supporter, and in return you'll get access to the Monday private stream. And there are other perks that we roll out from time to time, so you'll be able to get in on that also. And there's the address for that. So have a good evening, and we'll see you in 24 hours. Bye-bye.